Welcome to the Washington State Healthcare Authority Paying for Value Survey webinar. My name is Rachel Quinn, and I am Special Assistant for Policy Planning and Performance in the Division of Policy Planning and Performance. I'd like to start by doing introductions of my colleagues who will be moderating the survey webinar today.
This is JD Fisher. I'm a payment redesign model analyst as a part of Healthier Washington, also in the Policy Planning and Performance Division.
And Mary Ann Lindeblad, the Medicaid Director here at Healthcare Authority.
And now I'm going to turn it over to Megan Otchowitz to do some housekeeping on how to connect online and do a sound check.
Hi everybody, just a second, I'm going to switch the slide. Try this again here. There we go. So there are two options for connecting to audio, and it looks like everybody who's on has figured that out. You can either use mic and speakers or use telephone. So for this webinar, you will all be muted for the entirety of the webinar. If you have questions, please send them in through the question pane at any point through the presentation, and we'll be collecting those and answering the questions at the end of the presentation. And then as you can see up here, slides in the webinar recording will be available on the Paying for Value webinar website. Thank you so much for joining us today, and let's get started.
So I'm going to turn it over to JD Fisher. But before I do, I'd like to, we have another person joining us from our healthcare, at least Washington State Healthcare Authority leadership team.
Yeah, this is Lou McDermott. I'm the Director of the Public Employees Benefits Program.
All right, thanks, Rachel. So I'll just do a brief overview of the survey, and at the top of this slide you'll see the link for the survey, and it's on our Healthier Washington Paying for Value page. There's also some additional information on that page that will give you some insight into the other payment models that are under Healthier Washington. Primarily, and most importantly, the instructions for this survey, we ask that all respondents complete attachment A, which will give us a summary of proprietary information included in responses. Responding providers, please complete attachment B, and payers, please complete attachment C. If your organization considers itself to be both a provider and a payer, please do your best to complete both attachments B and C. And I want to clarify the response due date. There was a little confusion, I think, on our timeline. The deadline for questions about the survey and the process were due yesterday, but the due date for survey completions and submitting responses is May 12th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we've included some supporting documents on that web page that will hopefully help you complete the survey and answer some of your questions. There's a completion guide for the templates on attachment D, an example of what some responses might look like on attachment E, and then the Healthcare Payment Learning Action Committee Alternative Payment Model Framework, attachment F. And if you look now to the website, you'll see that the questions and answers that were submitted by yesterday have been posted for your reference. And the purpose of the survey, from our perspective, is to obtain a snapshot in time. And this is serving a twofold purpose. Number one is to allow us to measure progress across the state in adoption of value-based payments and accountable healthcare delivery strategies. We also believe this provides us an opportunity to gather some information on what barriers are prohibiting progress towards more further adoption of value-based payments. And secondly, we hope to use this information collected from this survey to inform our value-based purchasing roadmap and future healthcare authority purchasing strategies. This is a continuation of what we used the 2014 more formal request for information for, as that was very informative and critical to our development of the new accountable care program in PED. And so just a little background on our own paying for value goals. We are striving to align ourselves with some broader movement throughout the nation. And as a state agency, we've adopted a twofold goal to reach some paying for value benchmarks. And that's in 2019, we hope to see 50% of non-state financed healthcare in alternative payment models or value-based payment arrangements, and 80% of state-financed healthcare payments in similar arrangements. And as you can see in the right side of this slide, that aligns very closely with the goals set by the federal government through Medicare, where they expect 30% of Medicare payments to be linked to quality by 2016. And then in 2018, they expect that to be amped up to 50%. And again, furthering the theme of alignment across the country and with broader efforts, we want to align our terminology and our expectations with the framework set out by the Healthcare Payment Learning Action Network, and that's described here. There are 4 buckets, all kind of going up a continuum of more moving towards population-based payments. And if you've looked at the templates that we've provided for responses, we've incorporated this framework into those responses and hope to and plan to use this as we move forward in our own towards our paying for value goals. And as we discuss our paying for value goals, importantly, we want to be clear on what our expectation and what our standard is to be considered a value-based payment. And while there are 3 categories that encompass non-fee-for-service only payments, our consideration is that categories 2C through 4B on this continuum are considered truly value-based, as they are linked to quality. And this was brought up to us by a potential respondent that categories 3N and 4N are not included in this graphic. And we want to note that we do not consider those categories to be a value-based payment, as they have no link to quality. And we have updated the templates to include these 2 categories, and are also updated the overview document to include this clarification that those categories 3N and 4N are not considered by HCA to be value-based payments. And just a little more on some movement at the federal level. It's widely understood that this is a challenging move to move away from fee-for-service and to adopt alternative payment models. And CMS, as well as Congress, has made a concerted effort to incentivize movement down this timeline. And with the passage of MACRA, the Medicare Access and CHIP Reauthorization Act, it moves the nation closer to achieving more the goals of accelerating value-based payments and alternative payment models. Importantly, by 2019, through this new MACRA, the payments to providers will increase or decrease by 4 to 9% in 2019 based on provider performance on quality measures. And providers that have adopted alternative payment models by 2018 will be rewarded for doing so. And we've been asked quite often about where we believe that our accountable care program and our public employee benefit offering fits within this APM framework. And we view that accountable care program to fall under category 3B. And importantly, it is, while we recognize it is built on a fee-for-service chassis, so to speak, there is a financial trend guarantee for a defined population over the term of the contract. It also includes upside gain sharing and downside risk, and is tied to a quality improvement model that rewards achievement and improvement, and scores on that quality improvement model may enhance or reduce financial rewards or penalties incurred based on the financial trend performance. And the next slide just provides kind of a visual representation of how we view this accountable care program, that it's a coupling of the financial guarantee and the quality performance. So now I'd like to turn it back over to Rachel, and we'll move into the question and answer portion.
Thanks, JD. As JD mentioned, all question and answers that were received by the deadline on Monday have now been posted on the Paying for Value website. The URL is on the slide in front of you. But also the purpose of this call or this webinar is to obtain additional questions or take additional questions from potential respondents on the different templates that have been provided for use to submit answers from you. And also we will be posting all question and answers from this webinar and adding them to the question and answer that, document that's currently on the website. So Megan is fielding questions, and at this time it looks like there's no questions. We'll do, in lieu of questions or give people a little bit more time to ask some questions, we're going to pick a couple that we wanted to highlight that that were received by the deadline on Monday. I'm going to hold it to JD to go through some of the questions on this call.
Thanks, Rachel. So first, there were some questions about some of the documents that we provided, and we'd like to alert you that we have uploaded updated versions of Attachment D, which is the kind of the completion guide, and this includes some language that's more accurate relative to the response templates. So you'll find updated an updated completion guide. There's also updated templates, as I mentioned before, that include the categories 3N and 4N, so that if you have payment models or payment arrangements that fall into those categories, you can include them in your responses. And importantly, all the questions that we received yesterday are posted along in a document that includes the answers to them. There's been questions about how we plan to use the information that we receive, and I believe I went over that at the beginning, but I just want to reiterate that our plan is to use this to evaluate where we are as a state in achieving our goals of accelerating value-based payments, and as well to inform our purchasing strategies moving forward. Another detail that might be helpful is we mentioned that we are hoping to receive a snapshot in time. There was a question of what that time frame is, and when we developed the survey, we considered July of 2015 to be an appropriate time frame, and a question was raised if data as current as of January 1st of 2016 was appropriate, and that is certainly an appropriate and amenable time frame.
I'm looking at Megan, and it doesn't look like any questions have come in.
Please submit them now if you've got them, and do you guys want to continue to go through?
We'll select a couple more,
okay,
and give folks a couple more minutes. I think one that I wanted to highlight was number 8. If there are multiple payment models per category, how do you recommend labeling completing the survey? We recommend a concise response detailing each payment model to your best ability, and each model may be identified numerically or separated into distinct paragraphs. And in working in the spreadsheet, that's done by holding Alt and pressing Enter. Another question we got is if CMS is utilizing the HCP land continuum, which JD reviewed during this webinar, how do we know if they're committed to adapting how rates are validated to ensure ability to truly do population health-based payments, and is each state equipped to do this as well? As most know, we're currently engaged with CMS on many levels, including the waiver, and we'll continue to engage CMS on this question going forward. I'll highlight another question that we received, number 20, we received in the formal question and answer process. Does HCA have plans to form a work group or committee to accelerate this work forward and facilitate alignment across purchasers, payers, and providers? HCA will continue to accelerate the transition to value-based payments and to facilitate alignment through existing Healthier Washington channels as well as Medicaid waiver. We also intend to leverage existing forums for this conversation. We haven't received any more questions, so in the spirit of giving back time to folks on this call, we're going to be wrapping up. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for the effort you have received to date, or you have given to date to this. We look forward to your responses. We are open to receiving additional questions, and they can be submitted or completed on the last slide, the emails on the last slide, p4vsurvey@hca.law.gov.